The sound of gunfire echoed across the open-air shooting range as dust kicked up with every round fired. Rows of military officers, cadets, and a few civilians lined up to test their skills under the watchful eye of a decorated U.S. general. Among them stood Maya Thompson, a tall black woman in her mid-30s, wearing simple jeans, a plain jacket, and aviator sunglasses. She looked nothing like the others, no polished boots, no crisp uniforms, just a quiet presence with an aura of calm confidence. The general noticed her and smirked. Ma'am, this isn't a carnival game. You might want to step aside before you hurt yourself, he said loudly enough for everyone to hear. A few younger soldiers chuckled under their breath. Maya didn't respond. She simply adjusted the earmuffs over her head and stepped up to the firing line. The general leaned back, folding his arms, clearly entertained. The soldier before her had just managed to hit the outer ring of the target at 500 yards, and even that earned applause. When it was Maya's turn, she picked up the rifle with practiced ease. Her movements were fluid, no hesitation, no wasted motion. She settled into position, exhaled, and squeezed the trigger. Crack! The bullet tore through the air and punched dead center into the bullseye at a distance where even trained marksmen often faltered. Gasps spread through the crowd. Without pausing, Maya worked the bolt, adjusted slightly, and fired again. Crack! Another bullseye. Then another. And another. Each shot was precise, identical, surgical. By the 10th round, the bullseye was nothing more than one ragged hole. Silence fell over the range. The general's smirk had vanished. One of the younger cadets whispered, "That's impossible." Finally, the general stepped forward, his voice uneasy. Where did you learn to shoot like that?" Maya removed her sunglasses, revealing eyes that had seen more than most in the room ever would. She gave a small, knowing smile. Afghanistan. Iraq. Syria. Pick a battlefield, she said calmly. I was Army Special Operations. Call sign, Phantom Widow. The crowd stirred, several officers exchanged glances, recognizing the name whispered in sniper folklore. Stories of a woman who could eliminate targets over 2 kilometers away, who had saved entire squads from ambushes, who had medals classified under need-to-know clearance. The general swallowed hard, realizing the gravity of his mistake. Maya placed the rifle back on the table, her voice steady but sharp. Respect is earned, General. Not mocked. She walked away, leaving behind stunned silence and the undeniable truth: he had laughed at a living legend. Underscore 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 underscore. Would you like me to expand this into a longer cinematic short story with dialogue and scene building, like a movie script, or keep it in this powerful short story news style? Got it? White heavy checkmark. Here's the next part of the story, continuing right after Maya walks away from the stunned general and officers. Underscore 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 underscore. Maya was halfway across the range when the general called out, his voice louder than before, this time not mocking, but almost desperate. Sergeant Johnson, wait. She paused, turned slightly, her expression unreadable behind those aviator shades she had just slipped back on. The soldiers all looked between them, sensing the tension. The general stepped forward, lowering his tone. I didn't know who you were. Phantom Widow, I've heard the stories. I thought they were exaggerated. Maya raised an eyebrow. Most legends are. Until you meet the person behind them. The crowd murmured. The general cleared his throat, forcing authority back into his voice. Then maybe you'll accept a challenge. A moving target. 1 kilometer out. A murmur of excitement rippled through the soldiers. The challenge was infamous, almost no one passed it. Maya tilted her head, studying him. You still don't get it, do you? This isn't about proving myself to you. I don't need medals, I don't need applause, and I certainly don't need your validation. The general stiffened, but his pride pushed him further. Then prove it for them, he said, gesturing toward the young cadets who watched with wide eyes. They need someone to look up to. Someone real. Maya was silent for a long moment. The only sound was the wind brushing across the range. Finally, she sighed, adjusted her jacket, and stepped back to the line. Fine. But only once. The crew scrambled to set up the moving steel plate, barely visible at that distance. The general's best shooter had failed it earlier in the month. Maya laid prone, her body melting into the ground, movements smooth as water. She slowed her breathing until the world seemed to fall still. Crack, the bullet tore through the air, and a half-second later, the sharp clang rang out. Dead center. The target stopped, swaying from the perfect strike. Gasps erupted across the range. One cadet whispered, almost reverently, "She's not just a sniper. She's something else." Maya stood, dusted herself off, and looked at the general one last time. Next time, think twice before you mock someone based on what you think they are. You might be talking to the person who wrote the book you're still trying to read. With that, she walked away for good, leaving behind silence, awe, and a general who had learned humility the hard way.